that. You need that cold air aloft and that upper low aloft. You'll remember this a couple years ago. I don't remember which year it was. They got snow in Columbia, South Carolina on one of the first days of November.
Yeah.
And it wasn't baby snow. It was real, and it was inches, and it was essentially unpredictable. I mean, who would have forecasted that? But that's what was there, was a very cold upper level low. And so we'll see what happens. Unusual stuff going on. They got big lake effect rain coming up the next couple of days in Buffalo, and this upper low will do something next week for somebody, I would guess.
Yeah, and you're right, Tim. I remember that event. It was crazy. I remember some of the first social media images came in on 77 between Charlotte and Columbia, and I was like, this can't even be real, because it was absolutely big flakes, heavy snow, just coated everything immediately, and that was just a bizarre. It was kind of an upper low, and then we had some banding features. It was just like the perfect setup for some isolated thunder snow even down in that area. But the interesting thing is, Tim, I think we're definitely getting to that time of year where the jet stream's dipping down. As you mentioned, several cold fronts coming down. This is kind of the transition season. We're going from summer to fall, and I know it hasn't felt like it for the past 2 months, everybody, but this is kind of the beginning. This is how seasons change. We get into some volatile weather, and I think late October and especially November is kind of known for this, right? You get these kind of weird, crazy patterns setting up. And anytime you can bring tropical moisture into the mix, not that I'm saying this is it, but everyone remembers the movie The Perfect Storm, or the book The Perfect Storm. You had kind of the setup. You had a tropical system and a big low pressure system come down, and it created this massive nor'easter over the Northeast. And so that's always something we watch for this time of year.
And drought or not, it is possible, depending on what happens, that somebody up and down the East Coast could get some flooding out of this going into next week. Just depending on what happens. We don't know that yet, but just because you're in a drought doesn't mean you can't have excessive rain too. Both of those things can be true. So we'll watch. We have a ways to go. The models have been not consistent yet, but a major pattern change seems to be a pretty good bet at this point.
All right, but last but not least, something else that happens a lot this time of year, big swings in temperature, Tim. We talked about this yesterday. I thought we'd see some 35, 40-degree changes. We did. We were 33 in Charlotte, but what was your spread today?
So we went from 42 this morning to 76 this afternoon.
Wow.
So we had 34. The most I saw was Albemarle. I think they were at like 42 or 43.
Yeah. So real quick, what is your all-time biggest diurnal change in Greensboro?
47.
And for Charlotte, it's 48. So just to give you an idea, it can be crazy this time of year and in the spring. It seems to be spring and March, the big swings in temperature. So that's all we have time for tonight. Stick around. We've got more news coming up right here.
Welcome back to Live Impact News. I'm Julie Kay here at the top of the hour. It is 7:01 and lots to get to over the next couple hours while we're sitting here in the studio. We're going to start in Gastonia, though. This is happening live right now. Gastonia City Council is discussing a new proposal for an entertainment complex that would bring all sorts of things to the city, including sporting events, live concerts. Our Walker Lawson previewed this story if you were paying attention to our earlier newscast, and that meeting is happening right now. So we're going to listen in and see what city council people have to say about this proposal.
By the local MSD fund, is that it?
TBA.
So the hotel motel tax. So that's what's paid for the conference center. So unless you stayed in a hotel motel, you haven't paid for it, because you ever see the billing on there where they show you how much the room is, and then after that they have like 20 different subcharges. And you see it at different cities. Gastonia only has one, and that's what's paid for. So I just wanted to bring that to light.
Okay, at this point, Councilwoman Barber, because we a while back had said we'd only do actionable items.
Okay.
Are we done with this?
Yeah, so there was no action that was required on that one. So we can move down to the next item that did. Thank you so much, Jerry.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here this evening.
Thank you,
And your
Jerry.
staff as well. Thank you. The next item that we have on our agenda that we did take action on was relevant to, and I'll have to let Attorney Edgerton share about this, but it's concerning our Sine Dia meeting.
Cine DA.
Cine DA, okay. All right, Cine DA meeting that we have, and I will allow you to elaborate on this.
All right, and apologies, this is going to get a little wonky. You all have a statutory obligation to have an organizational meeting every year. You have to, by law, do two things at that meeting. You have to seat the new members of council that were elected, and you have to pick a mayor pro tem. Those are the statutory requirements for the organizational meeting. Now, your process has historically been to have the Cine DA meeting where you have the outgoing council approve their minutes from the last meetings that they had, followed by a reception at which it looked like you were seating your new electees, which you can't do until the actual organizational meeting. So what we're doing in this ordinance is making it very clear that your process is going to be to have the existing council do their Cine DA meeting. You're going to have a reception where even if somebody reads aloud what the oath of office is, nobody's actually being seated until the next day, which is the first Tuesday, and that's when, by law, you can actually seat your new members and pick a mayor pro tem.
Any discussion?
So this item was
You'll make that
approved
form?
unanimously, yes. So I'm presenting this in form of a motion.
We have a second?
Second.
Councilman Gallagher? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Okay, our next item, again, which requires action, there was a resolution presented to accept the donation of real property located at 715 North York Street, noting that the property owner has paid all of the code enforcement liens, but does have approximately $1,200 in outstanding taxes that are owed. I believe we discussed upon those taxes being paid, then once that is satisfied, then we would be willing to receive the donation of this property. The committee voted unanimously 3-0 to recommend the resolution to accept the donation of the property at 715 North York Street, subject to the submission of a deed accepted to the city manager and the attorney and payment in full of all outstanding real property taxes owed on the property. And I am presenting this in the form of a motion.
We have that in the form of a motion. We have a second. We have a second. Councilwoman Littlejohn, all those in favor?
I got one question.
One question.
Is there a house on this property? Because the photo looks like there is.
Not anymore. I don't know how old that imagery might be, but it's not there now, which I think is a large part of why the bank is willing to donate it.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
Having a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. It's unanimous.
Okay, all right, thank you. And I believe my last item is Mr. Miller, Adrian Miller.
All right, you've been listening into Gastonia City Council. Looks like they've moved on for now from the entertainment and sports complex. So we're going to check back in later and see if we have any updates on that. But again, our Walker Lawson reported on that earlier today. We will have those updates on our website in that article when we get some more information. Turning now to some national news, though. President Donald Trump today met with leaders from all sorts of countries for a Diwali celebration. So that was a big deal, of course. We have the footage from that, and we're going to take a listen in.
The whole world, IBM, the whole group, huh? What a wonderful culture and what a wonderful group of people. Thank you very much for coming. It's really nice. Thank you. Come on, I'll slide over here. For the media, I will tell you, this is a serious group of people. Right? That's great. Thank you very much. Look at all of it. Wow, look at the people, huh? These are seriously the biggest business people anywhere in the world, so I think it's a great tribute. Whatever they're teaching you well, right? Thank you very much. You're welcome to the White House as we celebrate Diwali, because they said there has to be a very heavy emphasis on the V, Diwali, the beautiful Hindu festival of lights, and that's what it is. It's a great festival and it's amazing people. I'm pleased to be joined by the Director of the National Intelligence and a woman that's done a fantastic job, Tulsi Gabbard, wherever you may be, Tulsi. Hi, Tulsi. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's really hitting his stride. Kash, where's Kash?
Right.
He's hitting his stride. That's the way we like it. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon. Harmeet? I'm right here, sir. Hi, Harmeet. And Pastor Paula White. She's been fantastic. She's been with us right from the beginning. We're greatly honored to be joined by the Indian Ambassador to the United States, Vinay Quatru. And it's very nice. Could pronounce it perfectly. That's what. Oh, I wasn't too far off there. And his wonderful wife. And thank you very much. It's a great honor to have you. As well as our new ambassador to India. This is a nice, easy name, Sergio Gore. Sergio, congratulations, Sergio. You're going to do a fantastic job. And thanks as well to incredible Indian American business leaders, the biggest in the world, really. If you look at these companies, what they've done, the biggest in the world. CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna, and Arvind, congratulations. I know you're working hard on a couple of jobs that I'm watching, and good luck with them, right? Yes. Good luck. It's amazing what you've done. Chairman and CEO of Adobe, and Adobe is big stuff, and that's Shantanu Narayan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shantanu. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. CEO of Micron Technology, we know what that is, Sanjay Marotta. Sanjay, nice to see you again. And CEO of Palo Alto Networks, Nikesh Arora. And I want to thank you very much for, and great success. It's a hell of a group of people. And in addition to that, we have a lot of other tremendously successful people gathered. On behalf of all Americans, let me also extend our warmest wishes to the people of India. I just spoke to your Prime Minister today. We had a great conversation. We talk about trade, we talk about a lot of things, but mostly the world of trade. He's very interested in that. Although we did talk a little while ago about let's have no wars with Pakistan. And I think the fact that trade was involved, I was able to talk about that. And we have no war with Pakistan and India, and that was a very, very good thing. But he's a great person, and he's become a great friend of mine over the years. In a few moments, we'll light the diya as a symbol of faith in the victory of light over darkness. It's a beautiful term, light over darkness. That's what it's all about. It's knowledge over ignorance and good over evil. During Diwali, revelers recall ancient stories of enemies defeated, obstacles removed, and captives freed. The glow of the diya flame reminds us to seek the path of wisdom and to work with diligence and to always give thanks for our many blessings. And we do have many blessings. Everybody in this room has many blessings. And even the I will say, I'm not going to use the word fake news, I refuse to use it. Media has some good blessings. One of the blessings is that you didn't have to stand in the mud outside anymore. You know, you now have a beautiful stone surface, the identical color of the White House. For years they had to stand when we had press conference in the mud because it was grass. And I decided to take care of that, so I think they appreciate it. As we look back in the past year and really look up to the next number of years and hopefully decades and centuries, we've got much to be thankful for. And think of it, a year ago we were a dead country. This country was a dead country, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. These guys can testify to that because I know this. I watch their stock prices, and they're like rocket ships, right? Do they ever stop? Let's keep it that way. Right? Let's not talk about it, right? Let's just keep it that way. It's amazing. We have more than $17 trillion. They're part of the reason. More than $17 trillion of investment pouring into the United States. It's going to be, I believe, over $20 trillion by the time the year's up. And as an example, the last administration had less than $1 trillion in a period of their 4-year period. They had less than $1 trillion. We're going to have $20 trillion. We have over $17 trillion already. That's investment coming in. And I think it's largely for two reasons. We had a good election on November 5th. But maybe more importantly, of course, it wouldn't happen if that election result didn't happen. I think much more importantly, we have tariffs that you build in the United States, you don't have a tariff to pay. You build outside and you have to pay a tariff. And we're taking in money at a level that no other country has ever seen. There's never been a country, I don't think, fellas, you agree with that? There's never been a country with an investment in less than a year, and actually to be exact, less than 9 months, of $17 trillion, right? And I know you're all participating, aren't you, huh? So that's really good stuff. The economy is roaring, the incomes are rising, and small business confidence is at the highest level in over a decade. So the confidence levels, which they do, which means something, they think over the last 10 years, I don't think they go beyond that. We have the highest level of confidence in our economy. Gasoline prices are way down. Grocery prices are way down. Energy prices are way down. Mortgage rates are down. We have a real stiff at the Federal Reserve. I can't help that. But he's going to be leaving soon. And inflation has been defeated. But even though his rates are too high, the economy has been amazing. Our border is secure, totally secure. We had nobody in the last 4 months coming through illegally, which is actually hard to believe because, they give me those numbers, but essentially it would be just about nobody. They actually say zero. That's actually hard to believe because zero when you had millions pouring across a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, but we have it down to practically nobody. And they are coming in, but they're coming in legally. And we're forging peace all over the world. We're putting America first. We're getting everybody to sort of get along. And I just got a call from the Middle East. We're doing very well there. We have many, many countries, as you know, signed on to peace in the Middle East, and nobody thought they'd ever see that happening. The Hamas situation, where they're pretty violent people, I would say. That we could put that out in 2 minutes. We're giving them a chance. They agreed that they'd be very good, very straight. They wouldn't be killing people, and they have killed people. That wasn't the deal we made. But if they don't honor the deal, they'll be taken care of very quickly. But I'd rather not have to do that. But we have total peace in the Middle East. We have levels of friendship with everybody, and every countries that hated each other now love each other. And nobody ever saw anything like it. I think you guys are pretty surprised over here, right? You're surprised, but a lot of people are surprised. Are you guys surprised? Peace in the Middle East. You've been hearing about it for as long as you've been alive. You do. And it's been a lot longer than that. You're still pretty young, but we have peace in the Middle East, and so. As we light the Dia, we look forward to a new year and a greater peace and a greater everything for all of us. And we want tremendous success, tremendous health. We're doing a lot of things in the world of health. And the autism situation is just crazy when you think of it. And you go back 20 years, it was 1 in 20,000, and now it's 1 in 12. Is that hard to believe? When I hear that number, it's not even believable. And we think we're onto it. Bobby is doing a great job, and Dr. Oz, all of them, they're really working hard. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And it's been a very important factor for me. I just say you got to focus on that. We think we have a lot of the answers. We've announced a lot of the answers, actually, but we're looking at many things. We've made tremendous progress, and maybe the thing we've done the best on is prices for our drugs. We have favored nations now, where other nations, as you know, were paying a small fraction of what we were paying. And this was, for many, many years, this was happening. This was set up 30 years ago, where we were paying 10 times more, 12 times more, 5 times more, always tremendous numbers more. And I said, we're not doing that anymore. And the drug companies have agreed, and the countries have agreed. Now, if I didn't have tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to get it. I said, well, if you don't agree, we're going to charge you tariffs for more than the equivalent amount. And amazingly, everybody agreed. So our drug prices are going to be coming down 100%, 200%, 300, 400, 500% in some cases. A bill that cost $10 in London would cost $120 in, think of it, $120 in New York or any place in this country. A drug that cost $86 in Berlin cost $1,300 in New York and throughout the United States. So we're not doing that anymore. So we're just not doing it anymore. So I just want to, and I think that's going to be huge for our anything, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, anything having to do with health, because the drug prices are going to be coming down. And I tell the story of my last administration, my 4th year, I was so honored because I brought drug prices down. The first time in 28 years, prices were brought down by a certain amount. I'll tell you what the amount was in a second, but by a certain amount. And so at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I actually brought them down. First time in 28 years that happened. And the number was 1/8 of 1%. That's all I say. But I was proud because first time it ever happened. And now I'm bringing prices down 600%, 700%, 900%, 200%. So I can't believe I actually had a news conference to celebrate 1/8 and 1/4 of 1%. But that was, you learn, right? You learn. So we're doing it, and you guys know more about favored nations than anybody. So we're going favored nations, we're demanding it, and we've got it. And as you know, we had Pfizer, we had the big companies, they were all agreed or close to agreeing, but the countries have agreed to. Actually, the countries would be generally more difficult. If we didn't have the power of tariffs, they wouldn't have agreed. They would have said, nope, you got to pay 10 times more than we're paying. We were paying 10 and 12 times more than other countries for the exact same pill made in the exact same lab or factory. So it's an amazing thing. I think it's an absolute game changer. Nobody's ever even heard of a thing like that. And you'll see the results over the next year and a half, and I think it's great. So I'd like to ask a person who's really been fantastic. We'll ask a few of the people to say a few words. You're on international television, so don't get nervous. Cash, would you say a few words, please? You've done a fantastic job.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be a first-generation Indian American whose parents lawfully immigrated to this country. And under your leadership, so many more millions of Americans are living that dream. And to celebrate it here in the Oval Office on Diwali, which you said, rightfully so, is a triumph of good over evil. It's just an incredible honor. It's incredibly humbling. Indian Americans around the world and Indians around the world are thrilled that you are such a profound leader in sharing this diversity with the world, and we can't thank you enough, and happy Diwali.
Great. Well, thank you, and congratulations on everything. And how about a great company, IBM? He's taken this company from, it was a little troubled, as I remember, a few years ago, like 10 years ago, to being one of the hottest companies anywhere in the world. Arvind, could you say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. In the spirit of Diwali, we should also acknowledge all that the President and the administration is doing to really boost technology, innovation, and that leading to economic growth. I want to point out, people forget often how much public and private partnerships in the United States have mattered to boost technology. You look at semiconductors, you look at space, you look at the internet, mobile, and hopefully quantum down the road. So, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you for all that you're doing to boost our technology leadership.
Well, you've done amazingly, and I just think it's incredible. I know exactly what you've been through, because it was a troubled company until you came along, and you made it very untroubled. You made it a rocket ship, so I congratulate you. Thank you, Arvind, very much. We have a very, very great company, Adobe and Nishanta. Could you say maybe a few words, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. And first, it's such an honor, to be here in the Oval Office and to celebrate Diwali, which for all of us growing up, as you pointed out, was, the victory over triumph over evil, light over darkness. I think what you're doing, Mr. President, to have peace and prosperity and investment in this country is just amazing. And as a company, I think hopefully everybody here is using Photoshop in order to, take all these pictures. But I would really like to thank you for your leadership, and we will continue to invest in the U.S. to make sure that we continue to drive innovation.
And your investment's been very large. So how much have you invested, and do you plan to invest in the U.S.?
As far as our investment is concerned, it's all intellectual property, it's people, so we make everything here, so that's the software.
That's good.
And so we're a $20 billion revenue company now. We're one of the largest software companies in the world, and headquarters is Silicon Valley. So thank you, Mr. President.
Fantastic job. How much are you investing, IBM?
$150 billion over the next 5 years.
150 billion, that's good. Micron's doing pretty good. How's Micron doing? Okay, pretty good.
Mr. President, really a great honor to be here today celebrating Diwali with these excellent peers of ours from the tech industry. And Diwali stands for light, hope, renewal. And the United States is light to the rest of the world. And particularly on the renewal piece, I just want to really applaud you and your team in terms of bringing Renaissance's semiconductor manufacturing here to the U.S. So Micron is investing $200 billion,
$200 billion
in leading-edge memory manufacturing, and in the course of next few years, we'll have 40% of our manufacturing here in the U.S. And this will add, over the course of years, 90,000 jobs and $1.5 trillion impact to the economy. So we are very thankful to the support that we get from your team and Mr. President, from you, in terms of bringing memory here to the U.S. And memory is key with AI today, right?
Yeah. You always talk about memory. I have a good memory. But those machines have a better memory, right? No matter what you do.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic, really fantastic. Nikesh, Palo Alto is a hot one. And tell me about that. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you for having me here, and it's a pleasure and honor to be able to celebrate Diwali with you. As my colleagues have said, this is a triumph of good over evil and prosperity, and what you've done in the last 9 months in terms of making the United States one of the most business-friendly administrations, and allowing us all an opportunity to invest not just in technology but in our people. It's just amazing. We are now the largest cybersecurity company in the world, and we just recently recently spent $25 billion in sourcing technology. So all cyber security is made in the United States. We believe that the next bastion in the world is going to be a cyber war, and we just want to make sure we are prepared as a country, and we make sure all of our companies and our critical infrastructure.
Fantastic job. It's amazing what you've done. And all of these people, to me, they mean two things. Big investment, but the big investment I like because of jobs. It's a tremendous number of jobs that they've produced. Would you say a couple of things about your great company, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm with Stone Point Capital, private equity, which I'm sure you know, and we just raised a new $11.5 billion fund, and we obviously invest very heavily in financial services technology, and so it's actually an honor to be here in the Oval Office with you, and as a fellow Winkwood member too, I've always it's always a pleasure to be with you, and I got to tell you, you're the best president that I've ever seen, and we're so proud of you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I asked him to say that. Would you like to say something about the great job you're doing? Right here. Anybody back here? These are all incredible people that everybody looks in the business world. Everybody looks up to them. Please go ahead. Would you like to say something?
Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your leadership.
I love this. I didn't ask him.
I'm running a tech business for 21 years. We build products on AI and machine learning. Thank you, Mr. President.
And it's going great, right?
Yes.
Good. How about over here? We have some very unshy people. Harmeet, how about saying a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It's a tremendous honor to have supported you 3 times and been part of your administration. And on this day of Diwali, I say on behalf of the United States Department of Justice that the message of the triumph of good over evil and knowledge over ignorance and justice over injustice is something that your administration is personifying, and it's a tremendous honor to be part of it, and thank you very much for including us here today.
Good, and you're at the DOJ and doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
That's great. She's doing a good job, Cash, right?
She's doing outstanding.
And Tulsi, we know, is doing a good job. What do you think, Tulsi?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. You are doing today what you have done throughout your time in service, is bringing people together from all across the country and all different backgrounds. And this day is, of course, very special to so many of us because while it is the celebration of hope and light and renewal, we can never forget that the source of that hope, light, and renewal comes from God's love for every single one of us. And so today we celebrate God, His love, and the blessings that He has shared with all of us.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you all very much. Anybody like to say anything? Or would you like to say something, please?
Mr. President, let me start, first of all, by expressing a deep sense of gratitude for opening up White House, Oval Office, your home, to mark Diwali's Festival of Lights, which is celebrated by over 1/5 of humanity. And as Cash said, you are showcasing the strength of diversity through this celebration. So it's truly a great honor, and thank you very much for that. May I also, on behalf of my Prime Minister and my own behalf, wish you and your loved one a very, very happy Diwali greetings, particularly to over 5 million strong Indian diaspora in the US.
Right.
And may I close by making a wish, which is normally we do for Diwali. We wish that the light of Diwali continues to shine on your success and on the strength of India-US partnership.
Thank you very much. So, spoke to him today. He's doing well. And your country is doing very well, you know that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So we're supposed to light something, but I thought maybe because he's had such an outstanding year, I'm going to ask Arvind to maybe do the honors. Can you handle it for me, Arvind? I think you might do a better job than me. So if you could take care of that, it'd be great. He's done a good job. I didn't know you were supposed to do that. I'm glad I asked him to do it.
Would you like to come to later?
Yeah, if you want. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.
Mr. President, the meeting with Vladimir Putin is canceled or put on hold. Do you know what happened there, and does that affect your decision whether or not to send tomahawks?
No, I don't want to have a wasted meeting. I don't want to have a waste of time, so I'll see what happens. But we did all of these great deals, great peace deals. They're all peace deals. They're agreements, solid agreements, every one of them. But this one, and I said, go to the line of battle, the battlefield lines, and you pull back and you go home, and everybody take some time off because you got two countries that are killing each other. You got two countries that are losing 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers a week. So we'll see what happens. It's we haven't made a determination.
I'm asking the Justice Department to look into the federal investigations into you and look for compensation, and how much are you asking for?
Who's asking for what?
Are you asking the Justice Department to pay you compensation for
Whose compensation?
your federal investigations into you? Are you asking them to pay compensation, and how much?
Into me? I don't get any compensation. I do it for nothing. I gave up my salary. Into me?
No, it's going to be the Justice Department. Are you asking them to pay you compensation for the federal investigations that happened to you? And how much are you asking
well,
for?
I guess they probably owe me a lot of money for that. Probably, yeah, that's true. That's very interesting. No, I get no salary. I gave up my salary. It's a good salary. Not as much as these guys make, but that's okay. It's a lot of money. And I don't, as you know, I didn't take it in the first 4 years. I'm not taking it in these 4 years either. But as far as all of the litigation and everything that's been involved, yeah, they probably owe me a lot of money. But if I get money from our country, I'll do something nice with it, like give it to charity or give it to the White House while we restore the White House. And we're doing a great job in the White House. As you know, the ballroom is under construction. It's going to be, they've been trying to get it for 150 years, and it's really, I think it's going to be fantastic. But we'll see what happens. I mean, we have numerous cases having to do with the fraud of the election, the 2020 election, and because of everything that we found out, I guess they owe me a lot of money. But I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for really. I think it's got to be handled in a proper way. If it's not handled in a proper way, we don't want it to happen again. We can never let what happened in the 2020 election happen again. We just can't let that happen. And so the way we go, I know Keisha's working on it, everybody's working on it, and certainly Tulsi's working on it. We can't let that happen again to our country. Look at what's happened where you have millions of people being allowed to come into our country.
You've been listening in to President Donald Trump earlier today speaking to reporters and answering questions after a Diwali celebration with some of the leaders in that region. We're going to take a quick break and get to some more national news when we come back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Julie Kay. If you were with us earlier today on the afternoon stream, we took you to a breaking news scene out of LA where federal officers were attempting to arrest an undocumented immigrant, and that led to an altercation in which both a suspect and a U.S. Marshal were shot and injured. So what we're taking you to now is a scene live where advocates are speaking about this incident.
I would like to invite everybody to come out and support us. We demand ICE out of LA. Chinga la migra! Chinga la migra! Chinga la migra! Chinga la migra! Y la policía! Y la policía! Thank you.
Thank you, Verita from Centro CSO. Up next, I want to bring up a person who's going to represent a group of people that was very important this morning after what happened. As you all can see, we are directly in front of Santee Education Complex. You want to know who were the first people on the ground organizing when all this happened? Teachers. Teachers were the first ones out here informing the community, letting people know what was happening, taking care of their students, taking care of the community. So up next, I want to bring up a teacher from the school across the street, also a member of United Teacher Los Angeles. I want to bring up Maria.
Hola, buenas tardes. Yo soy maestra aquí en esta escuela y inmediatamente supimos que aquí estaba la migra. Se lo hice saber al distrito, se lo hice saber a la unión. Y aunque sabíamos que estaban aquí enfrente de la escuela, no acá, en mero enfrente de la escuela, decidieron levantar la orden de lockdown. Y les dije, yo salí y les dije, esa es migra y esa es migra. Y me dijeron que le habían dado la orden de levantar el lockdown a la directora que actualmente está ahí. Y le dije que estos estaban amenazando la seguridad de nuestra gente, de nuestra comunidad y de nuestros estudiantes. Y lo que me dijo esa señora es que yo no pago su renta, que yo no pago su mortgage, que ellos pagan su mortgage. So, aunque ella esté viendo que ahí está la migra, no va a hacer lo que tiene que hacer. ¡Sí! ¡Qué vergüenza! ¡Sí! Es una vergüenza, qué cobardes son las personas que están trabajando ahí supuestamente para proteger a nuestros estudiantes. Deberemos de ver mejor de nuestros líderes de las escuelas. Es una vergüenza que nosotros sabemos que aquí está la migra y tienen excusas para abrir la escuela como si no estuviera pasando nada. Hemos visto que tienen lockdowns por horas, por cualquier cosita, y para esto que es importante para nuestra comunidad, lo ignoraron. ¡Qué vergüenza! So, I was in the school and I saw ICE outside. I got a lot of reports from community members. I saw that students were sending me pictures asking for help. We went on lockdown very briefly, and then I was able to come to the front and investigate myself because we had lifted the lockdown. When I approached the principal and I let her know that ICE was here, I pointed them to her, and she said that I don't pay her mortgage, that the district pays her mortgage, and so even if she sees ICE in front of the school, it didn't make a difference because, again, I don't pay her mortgage. What a coward! What a coward! It's embarrassing that we do pay her mortgage. Our taxes pay her mortgage. It's embarrassing that the leadership that this district and our school is exhibiting. ICE was at our steps. They were parked in front of the school. ICE was right there. And they're trying to say that it was peripheral to the school. No, it wasn't. Our students deserve safety, and they deserve courageous, competent leaders. What an embarrassment. An absolute embarrassment. I urge the public to call LAUSD and demand that they keep schools in lockdown and actually protect our students. The police that they have here were escorting ICE around. That does not keep our students safe. La policía que estaba aquí en la escuela estaba protegiendo a la migra, no estaba manteniendo a nuestros estudiantes seguros. Y es importante que entiendan que la migra no nomás dice ICE, es el FBI, es cualquier agente federal. It's also important for you all to know that anyone that works for the federal government, any of those agencies also works as ICE. And so it's important for us to, again, keep our students safe. My kids were so scared. Mis niños tenían tanto miedo y no sabían qué pasaba porque no les dijeron nada. Por favor, llamen a las escuelas y asegúrense de que están implementando planes que de verdad van a proteger a nuestros niños, porque esto no nos está manteniendo seguros. Gracias.
Gracias, Maria. Thank you, Maria. I think it's extremely important that teachers are out here not only working in the classroom, but defending the community outside of the classroom. And I think that's extremely important to know. If the city officials won't do their job to protect the community, the people and the teachers will. So we wanted to say that we're really proud of our teachers. Up next is really a foremost expert when it comes to police in Los Angeles, when it comes to police repression, police surveillance, and police attacks against our community. I want to bring up a brother who's going to speak on behalf of the Stop LAPD Coalition and also the Community Self-Defense Coalition. One of the founders of the coalition, Brother Hamid.
Thank you. All power to the teachers.
All power to the teachers.
All power to the students.
All power to the students.
And all power to the people.
All power to the people.
So assault and battery, resisting arrest, have been the lies that we've been hearing when the cops and the pigs torture, murder, banish, and extract our community members. Add to those long line of lies, ramming our vehicle. This is what we've been hearing. This is what we heard in Chicago, and the woman was shot 5 times. This is what we heard in San Bernardino, and they shot somebody in the car. And this is what we heard this morning as well, when they shot another community member. This is entrapment. This is conspiracy. And these are the conditions on the ground that are created intentionally to cause harm to people. But we know the game. We know the playbook. We know this is not new, because this is not a moment in time, but a continuation of history. The history of banishing and exterminating community members. The history of kidnapping people. We know that it has gone into a high gear. But we also want these fools to know that the community resistance is in high gear as well.
That's right.
We mourn the dead, but we fight like hell for the living.
That's right.
That's never stopped, and that will never stop. But I also want to take a moment to call out our goddamn city officials as well.
Yeah.
It's them. It's the lies about the sanctuary city. It's the myth of the sanctuary city. Because what they're doing is they're offering our folks and our neighbors and our family members on a platter. It's through all the information that they share about us. License plate readers, social media surveillance, anything that you're doing, anywhere you go, that information is being shared with the feds. So that's why we are here today, to keep on reminding ourselves. And when we say speaking truth to power, we don't give them any power. We are speaking truth to ourselves, because we have the power.
That's right.
Who has the power?
We have the power.
We have the power. And we'll keep on fighting, and we'll keep on building this resistance. All power to all people. Thank you.
Thank you again. That was Hamid from the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition and the Community Self-Defense Coalition. I guess it's my task to wrap up here today. My name is Ron Goches. I am a member of Unión del Barrio, also a proud member of the Community Self-Defense Coalition, also a proud member of the United Teachers Los Angeles. I want to say here today that the attack that happened today is yet another escalation in the repression and the brutal violence being used against our community. It's not enough for them to just kidnap our people. Now we are seeing on multiple occasions, as Hamid said, that they are shooting us with live rounds. They're shooting our people with live rounds. This type of violence is the type of violence that we denounce, and it's the type of violence that will only create more violence. Don't forget where you're standing. This is South Central Los Angeles. They are not the only ones with guns in this city. They're not the only ones, and don't forget that. And I don't say that because we're calling for violence. I'm saying that because the people have every right to defend themselves against masked, unidentified gunmen with AR-15s and other military rifles. The people have every right to defend themselves. That's not violent, that's intelligent, as Brother Malcolm once said. And so today, when we saw an attack on one of our community members, and in case you didn't know, today's attack was a second attack on Brother Richard. In June, I was there on the street when they almost broke his leg. The Border Patrol agents almost broke his leg. Why? Because he was reporting the truth, as he always does. He was on TikTok informing the people of the activity of these masked kidnappers. And they attacked him brutally. And the community, the people saved him, and they took him to the hospital. Today, they attack him again. You think that's a coincidence? No. That's not a coincidence. That's a planned and premeditated, attempted murder. That's right. And I want to see the people who shot him go to prison for that. Because if any one of us did the exact same thing that those masked gunmen did this morning, not only will we be shot on the spot by those officers, if we survive, we will go straight to prison. We know that. And so what makes them any different? Are they above the law? No. Well, apparently they are. Because here in California, there's a law now. They cannot wear masks. But guess what? They do. LAPD, are you arresting them for wearing masks even though the law says they're not supposed to wear masks? No, they don't. That's why we say we cannot depend on the police. We cannot depend on politicians. We cannot depend on anybody but the people. The people will organize and defend themselves. And so if the repression escalates, the resistance will escalate. There's a reason why the raids went down in Los Angeles. Because the people were organizing them, kicking them out of the barrios all over the city. That's right. That's why they went to Chicago and other places. Because here the people are organized and resistance was strong. They caught some bricks. Y'all remember Paramount? Yeah. They caught those bricks. This is Los Angeles and this is South Central. The people will fight back. So today we are denouncing them for attacking Richard. We are demanding that Richard be released from the hospital when he is safe and healthy enough to do so. We are demanding that those officers, those agents, those kidnappers, those terrorists be arrested for attempted murder.
Lock them up!
Lock them up.
Lock them up! The real felon is in the White House with 34.
Yeah, but they know they have the backing not only of course, the White House, they have the backing of the Congress, and here in Los Angeles, where it's a Democratic Party-controlled city, apparently they have the backing of the city as well. And so again, it's up to the people to organize. So we will continue to do that. I want to say that I did speak briefly today with the family of Richard. He is in stable condition. He is going to have surgery or is in surgery. The family, obviously is shaken up. They don't want to be here today, but they will be speaking to the media at some point. Okay, so you can talk to us about that later. But Richard he's stable. He's going to make it. And so will the resistance. So will the resistance. Okay, now I got to do everything in Spanish. Gracias por estar aquí ahora. Estamos aquí. You ready? Sí. Estamos aquí ahora denunciando a los agentes federales, terroristas, secuestradores, por atacar a nuestro hermano Richard. ¿Por qué lo atacaron? Y no hay que olvidarnos que es la segunda vez que lo atacan. Hace 3 meses o 4 meses casi le quiebran el pie en otro ataque y ahora lo atacaron otra vez. ¿Por qué? ¿Qué estaba haciendo? Estaba grabando y reportando al pueblo la actividad de los secuestradores. Algo admirable. Estaba haciendo algo para proteger su comunidad. Por eso fue atacado. Y nosotros estamos aquí para denunciar el ataque. Estamos aquí para denunciar no solo a los agentes federales, pero también a la policía que protegieron el operativo que atacó a Richard. Aquí en California hay una ley que dice que los agentes federales no pueden llevar mascarilla para proteger su identidad. Pero lo hacen. ¿Y por qué la policía no los arresta? Esa es la ley. El trabajo de la policía es de aplicar la ley, supuestamente. Pero sabemos que nosotros no podemos confiar o depender en la policía o en los políticos en nadie menos que nosotros, el pueblo. Solo el pueblo organizado se puede defender. Y nosotros le recordamos a la policía que aquí en Los Ángeles, aquí en el sur centro, nosotros somos más que ellos. Y si nos organizamos bien, podemos defender la comunidad. Por eso es que las redadas en Los Ángeles pararon un poco, porque el pueblo se organizó y a veces lo sacaron a ladrillazos, lo sacaron del barrio. Y por eso sabemos que la única manera que nos podemos defender es si el pueblo se organiza. Ese es el mensaje central. Queremos reportar que hablamos con la familia de Richard. Él ahorita está en condición estable, está en cirugía. La familia piensa que va a estar bien. El hijo de Richard y el abogado de Richard, después de horas de tratar de entrar al hospital, finalmente le dieron permiso para entrar. La migra le dio permiso para entrar a ver a su padre, a Richard. Y por eso seguimos nosotros en lucha, en resistencia. Vamos a seguir apoyando a Richard o a cualquier otra persona que sea atacada por agentes federales o cualquier persona que ataque a nuestra comunidad. Con eso terminamos ahora. Si tienen preguntas nos pueden hacer. Vamos a hacer más eventos, lo que sea necesario para defender a la comunidad. Y a la comunidad el mensaje es, no hay que tener solo miedo, hay que organizarnos. Todos tenemos miedo a veces, pero el miedo no nos sirve de nada. Lo que sí nos sirve es organizarnos, estar en contacto con uno al otro, así nos podemos organizar y nos podemos defender. Eso es lo que le tienen miedo a ellos. Los vendepatrias, vendidos, que se pueden parecer a nosotros, pueden tener apellido como nosotros, pueden hablar español, pero son no solamente cobardes, son vendidos. Y sabemos que sus familias les da vergüenza que ellos sean vendidos. Porque no están ayudando a la comunidad, protegiendo a la comunidad, están protegiendo a los secuestradores. Están protegiendo a un sistema de Trump, etc. Con eso terminamos. Muchas gracias. Any questions for any of the speakers?
Do we know anything about what led up to the confrontation? I mean, were they?
What led up? All we know is that there was a raid in the neighborhood. We know there was a raid in the neighborhood against a business. And Richard, as he always does, was reporting on it. And then from then on, what happened, happened. We know that they're saying that Richard attacked them with their car. But that's the same thing they said about Brother Leo in Oxnard last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever that was. That's the same thing they always say. And then the video comes out, and then they have to backpedal and then let go of the people who they attacked. So we know we cannot depend on them. We know we can't trust them. But we do know that tear gas was fired at Richard into his vehicle, and that's where he was shot. And I want to say, for the members of the media, in case your outlet still has the wrong headlines, yes, a marshal was shot by ICE agents. A marshal was shot by ICE agents. Don't make it seem like it was a community who shot him, because that's not what happened. He was shot by ICE agents.
There is a video out there where the LAPD was next to the ICE agent and they didn't do shit about it. So they shot LAPD is supposed to protect the community. Not
Yeah.
There is a video out there.
No sabemos exactamente, no quiero dar esos comentarios, no quiero decir algo que no sé, pero solo sé que tuvo cirugía, lo operaron y la familia pudo entrar al hospital. No sé si lo han visto a él, pero pudieron entrar al hospital.
Also, DHS released a statement saying that the shooting was a consequence of like activists kind of asking people to, go into and protect meetings. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Again, ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, they've been lying every single time. Even the judges have admitted that. They keep lying and falsifying information. That's why they let go of so many activists, even activists that are here right now. So all we do is inform the community, organize the community, and defend the community. In history will say who was on the right side of history, these kidnappers or the people who are defending the people. And so we know that everything that we do as organizers is legal, at least for now. But I'll say, even if it wasn't legal, we'll still do the work that we do, because we will defend the people. We will always defend the people. We're not going to be handcuffed by their laws. We only respond to the people, not to the state.
Do you know, was there any video of the arrest?
Anyone know? I don't know anything. Not that we know of. There is video of the tear gas that was shot. It seemed probably right after the shooting, but I don't know of any video of the shooting. Yeah, there's video of that too. And there's video of ICE agents outside of California Hospital and also inside of the hospital, with the full, complicity of the hospital. And so we say to us, that's terrorism, because there's other people in that hospital that now are terrified, and there's people in the community who need to go to the hospital and can't go to the hospital because they know that there's terrorist activity inside of the hospital. That's important to mention as well.
They shut the hospital down just for the U.S. Marshal too. Boom!
Any other questions?
Yeah, they should have.
If not, and I recommend, if y'all can, head down to the hospital, support not just Richard, the family, but also demand that ICE gets the hell out of the hospital. This should never be in any hospital. It should never be near any school. This should never be anywhere near our community.
I have a question. I heard that he has a lawyer. Is that true? Does he have an attorney at this moment in time?
He absolutely has a lawyer, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, just confirming.
Yeah. And we should know that there's a bunch of lawyers that support the movement too. There's a bunch of lawyers, people's lawyers, attorneys who are always on call, willing to support the people. So if the pigs ever think that they're gonna harass us and intimidate us and they're gonna scare us with lawsuits, they're gonna scare us that way, we have a whole legal team that's willing to come and support us as well. With that, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Please.
All right, you've been listening into a press conference out of LA, where earlier today we brought you that breaking news scene as an altercation with ICE agents, federal agents, as they were conducting an immigration check, got violent and 2 people were injured, 1 a suspect and 1 a U.S. Marshal. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. We want to get to some breaking news out of Iredell County. We have a report of multiple power outages and thousands of people out of power here. So this is the map from Duke Energy. We are still waiting to get information on what caused this outage, but I mean, you can see it's quite expansive, going from around the Bells Crossroad area, largely in Troutman. It goes all the way almost up to Statesville. So this is a quite expansive area around Lake Norman and otherwise north in Iredell County. Right now, I am seeing in this area, we've got more than 6,700 people in just Iredell County that are impacted, 11 separate outages. Now, I've gone through and clicked through some of these to see if they've listed a cause, and I have not found any in the ones that I've seen, but you can see some of these are more expansive than others, some thousands, some just a few hundred. We have reached out to Duke Energy for more information. I know that they are hoping to get this cleared up by 9 p.m., so hopefully within the next hour this will be fixed. But yeah, hoping to get some more information on what caused something this expansive. I know the weather is not particularly bothersome at the moment, and so that information will be definitely interesting to find out. Turning now to some national news as we wait for those updates, we want to get to something out of Virginia. Of course, we are waiting for Election Day here in North Carolina. Virginia is as well. And we've got this, I believe this is happening live, where multiple Congress people and officials are speaking about Election Day, encouraging people to vote, including Pete Buttigieg, of course. Right now is a Congresswoman. This is Abigail Spanberger. We're going to take a listen into her now.
And in fact, that man who was so committed to his job was actually a new dad. And as many of you may remember, his children were born, and for a time they remained in the hospital. And so later, I remember months later, I said, that time we talked late at night. Yeah, he was at the hospital with his babies, demonstrating what it is to have a commitment to serving your community while holding the most vital and the most precious of your responsibilities close to the heart. And I am proud of the work that we did in that infrastructure bill, the billions of dollars delivered to Virginia. And I am proud that as a member of Congress, we welcomed the Secretary to Virginia to see so many of the projects that, in fact, we were delivering because of that work to build a coalition around an obvious challenge: infrastructure, roads, bridges, broadband internet connectivity, water infrastructure, the brass tacks that make our community strong, that allow us to bring investment to Virginia, that allow us to live our lives, the things we never really notice until they're not working or not there. That's the work of good governance, focused leadership, working to deliver good things for people that enable other good things. And I am very excited to be in Charlottesville. Wahoo wah, everyone. I will tell you, when I was walking across grounds many years ago, or even when, at least in my day, it was like a special treat to come over to the downtown mall, I would have never guessed that one day I would be here in this building running to serve the Commonwealth and the communities that I love across Virginia. And I say that because as we have so many students who are here gathered today, I just want to impress upon you that everything that we are working towards, whether it is Secretary Buttigieg and the work that he did as Secretary of Transportation, and before that in leading a city he loved, whether it is Bill Nye the Science Guy, who educated generations of children and captivated people by the idea of what it is to learn and to be excited by science and discovery and figuring things out. Or whether you are someone like Katrina Carlson, herself first an educator, then an attorney, and now a woman who day in and day out is representing you all in Richmond, bringing voices of people from Charlottesville to Richmond, advocating for the things that she believes in, or whether it is Patricia, our CD5 chair, who day in and day out is working to bring people together and elect people that she believes in. So I say to the students, whatever those paths, I hope you see that there are so many examples for the ways that you can choose to serve a community through advocacy, through education, through service in the military or in public service. And I welcome you all, and I hope that in the future you will define what that path of service is for you, because the path of service has been one that has defined my life and one that I have believed in every day along the way. I grew up in a house of service. My dad, a Army veteran and then a federal agent, my mother, a nurse, and they always instilled upon us the idea that there's no higher calling than service to country. It's a message that I internalized. It's a message that I believed in, and I grew up knowing that I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps, and I did, first as a federal agent and then as a CIA officer. And the mission of traveling the world and of serving overseas and of endeavoring to answer some of the toughest questions so that somebody somewhere could make a good decision about an issue of national security, so that I could be working day in and day out to keep the American people safe. It was a mission I believed in. It was a mission that was incredible. And in 2014, after being overseas with our family, we were based in California, and we were bidding on our next assignment. And we brought out a globe. And at the time, my oldest daughter, she was 5, we brought out a globe, and we said, where should we go? It was supposed to be a teachable moment. Where should we go? Name your place anywhere in the world we can go. And my daughter said, Virginia. And we said no. And she said, why wouldn't we go to Virginia? Everyone we love lives in Virginia. And she was right. Everyone we love lives in Virginia, and we decided to pivot from that path of service to country that we had been on with my job to service to community. And I thought, we're going to move back home. We're going to settle down. We're going to put down roots, and we're going to invest in a community that we love, the community that made my husband and I both who we are. He's also a Wahoo. E-school. Obviously, I was arts and sciences. And we came back home, and I got a job in the private sector. I got my employment declassified. I started volunteering with Moms Demand Action to do advocacy for an issue that I believed in, which is keeping our community safe. Started a Girl Scout troop, because I believe you're never too young to challenge yourself, particularly in the woods and with a ropes course. And then in the lead up to and the aftermath of the 2016 election, I realized that so much of what I believed about our political system was perhaps a little bit off kilter, and I wanted to see something different in politics, and so I decided to run for Congress. I decided to run for Congress in a district that hadn't elected a Democrat since 1968, in a district that my predecessor had won by 15 points. And I knew if we brought people together around the idea of what is principled, focused leadership and what can it do for our community, that we could win. And it is because of volunteers and people who believed at that time that their action could make a change. We won. We flipped that seat, and I got to work in the halls of Congress. And I'm proud of the bills that I got signed into law. I'm proud of the acknowledgments of the work that I had. But at the end of the day, the most extraordinary thing about being in elected office is that people invite you into their worlds. People invite you into their homes. They invite you onto their farms. They invite you into their businesses and their classrooms so that you can see their challenges and you can see their successes. And there is nothing more extraordinary than being able to witness people's lives, to be welcomed in, and to be told the challenges that people face. And so throughout my time in Congress, time and time again, I realized that so many of the issues that people would bring to me, while there was definitely a nexus at the federal level, if you want to make clear change and progress for people in a meaningful way with a level of efficiency and effectiveness that kind of is my speed, state government is the place where you pass a bill, the governor signs it into law, and you are meaningfully impacting people's lives. And during my time running for governor, over these past almost 2 years running for governor, you think it feels like a long time. People have talked about the challenges of what it is to get yet another bill in the mail, to get that prescription from your doctor and go to the pharmacy counter and wait for them to ring you up before you know whether or not you're actually going home with the medication that your doctor prescribed. What it is to know that if you ever want to move to the community you grew up in, or that if you might want to take a risk and start a business, that the cost of housing, healthcare, energy, all of it, time and time again, lack of affordable childcare, it all creates challenges and impedes people's abilities to dream their biggest dream. And frankly, time and time again, when I hear about these challenges, now we are seeing them even more austere and clear because of everything that is coming out of Washington. And everything that is coming out of Washington, Secretary Buttigieg certainly ran through the litany of things. But it's the attacks on our health care, catastrophic attacks on health care that will lead to the closure of rural hospitals, that will lead to billions of dollars out of Virginia's health care system, that has already led to the announced closure of 3 rural health clinics, not to mention hundreds of thousands of Virginians who will lose their health care coverage, rising costs for everyone. The tariffs that have literally raised costs, input costs for farmers and producers, and the retaliatory tariffs that have closed entire markets to Virginia goods. The impacts of tariffs on small businesses, and importantly, the attack on federal workers from this administration. The DOGE efforts beginning at the beginning of this administration that fired tens of thousands of federal employees, it wasn't just an attack on their jobs, on the livelihoods of Virginians. It's an attack on a commitment to service, people who devoted themselves to service to country. And when we have leaders in Richmond who refuse to recognize the impacts of bad legislation coming out of Washington that will raise prices for Virginians, of bad tariff policies that are hurting Virginians, and an attack on the federal workforce with DOGE 1.0, and now their effort to continue it during a government shutdown. These are attacks on Virginians and on our economy, and we need a governor who will stand up against them. But here in Virginia, we know the stakes of this election. And in fact, we know all the challenges coming at us from Washington, from bad policies. But what we will do this November is not just vote against something, but we will vote for the policies that we believe in. The principles that will drive us, because you know throughout the country, people are anxious to be able to take an action. It's why we saw hundreds of thousands of people march across the United States, and it is only in Virginia and New Jersey that we have statewide elections where we can prove to the rest of the country, when we have the opportunity to make a change at home in our state, we will take it. Because we know the stakes of this election, and we know what we are for. We are for a governor focused relentlessly on lowering costs, lowering costs in housing, healthcare, and energy, recognizing that there are a lot of challenges facing people in every corner of Virginia, and we need a governor who has a plan in working with the General Assembly and with the administration to drive down costs and make life more livable for Virginians. We know that we want a governor who will strengthen Virginia's public schools, recognizing that the strength of our schools are the strength of our future, the strength of our workforce, the strength of our economy, and the way that we achieve and allow our kids to achieve every dream that might be theirs. And it is not just K through 12 schools that matter, that are part of ensuring a pathway towards a bright future for all kids and for Virginians. It is our universities and our community college systems. And here in Charlottesville, we know that academic freedom is also under attack. And we need a governor who will stand up for the ideals put in place with Mr. Jefferson's University, celebrating academic freedom and recognizing that the way that we make discovery, the way that we have grown as a nation is through academic debate and inquiry, and recognizing that that push and pull of ideas, it doesn't just make students stronger, it makes our community stronger, and frankly that our universities under attack by the federal government are also drivers of our economy here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we need a governor who will stand up for all of our institutions. And it's not a very good name for chanting, I will admit it. But I appreciate it. We need a governor who's going to work to grow our economy, bring investments to the Commonwealth, ensure that those with a great idea or a dream are able to start that business here. I know that so frequently we will celebrate people who graduated from this university or that high school in Virginia and then went off to California to start a business. We wish them good luck, but we want them to do it here in Virginia. And we need a governor who is focused on ensuring that when we bring talent to the Commonwealth, you fall in love with our beautiful Virginia and you stay here building businesses and growing jobs and growing families and investing in the next generation. And we need a governor who recognizes that it is not up to politicians what decisions a woman may make with her own body. And we need a governor who's going to stand up for Virginia, celebrate it every day, and ensure that people around the world know that we are not just an example for how you do right at the ballot box this November, but that we are an example of how it is that we govern well once we win. I have 3 daughters, and they were very delighted to be able to meet Bill Nye the Science Guy. In fact, for years, when he would come to Capitol Hill and do advocacy for science policy and space-related policy, and I would meet with him frequently. At one point in time, I think one of my daughters said, "You should never come home again if you meet Bill Nye the Science Guy one more time without us." So I'm grateful that he finally made sure that I could fulfill my children's wish, because if I was to see him at an event and they were not with me, it would be very problematic for me. But I have 3 daughters, and they drive me so frequently. And I always tell the story about my oldest daughter and the globe because it's true and because it's what motivated me to bring my family back home to the place that I love and the place that made me who I am. And it's what drove me, frankly, my daughters, to invest my time and energy in working to make our Commonwealth better for other people's children and other people's futures. And my middle daughter, who so frequently volunteers along the campaign trail, once remarked that I don't ever tell stories about her. But I have a really good one. And so for those who are here, you are here because you are engaged and because you love politics, or at least you are motivated about this election, and you are taking that action of hope that Secretary Buttigieg mentioned. But for all of your friends or families members or neighbors who might just be overwhelmed by this moment that we are in, by the news that every day is a new thing that might make you want to just turn away. Many years ago, when I was first running for office, my daughters were in first grade and fourth grade and preschool. And at my daughter's school, because the 2016 election had been so contentious, my daughter's school made a rule that they weren't allowed to talk about politics. They weren't allowed to talk about politics because talking about politics meant there was a kid crying on the playground. There were fights. There were people repeating the things they had heard adults say on television that children should never say to one another. And so they made this rule, no politics in school. And in the first year of my campaign, we got buttons, and they say Spanberger for Congress. And my middle daughter slapped a button on her backpack in first grade. And my oldest daughter, the dutiful oldest daughter, said, "Charlotte, you can't have that button on your backpack. It's politics. You can't have politics at school." And my middle daughter looked at her with the ferocity that only a middle daughter could have and said, "It's not politics, it's my name." And put the backpack on her back and walked out the door. And I think of that story because for her, yeah, it's not politics, it's her name. But for all of us, politics, it's not politics. Politics is about the air that we breathe, the schools that we attend, the roads that we drive on, the internet that we do or do not have, the electricity that is generating in our communities. It's about the opportunities that exist, the new housing that is or isn't built. It's about the health care that we have. Everything is political. Everything comes down to the people making choices, whether it's at the local level, the state level, or the federal level. And so I reflect on that story because in a moment, my daughter, I think, reduced down the most important lesson, which is don't turn away from the things that can be political. Turn towards them because they are everything. They are our future. They are the taxes you pay. They are your ability to retire. They are everything. And so when I think about what this moment means to anyone who has friends or family that is just tired, remind them that everything comes down to the people who are making decisions. And please tell them that I will work tirelessly to make good decisions, to serve them and to serve you and to do right by the Commonwealth of Virginia, because that is what elected office should be. It should be service. And so, Virginia, 2 weeks from today, I want us to be celebrating. I want us to be celebrating, but we need to do this together. These next 2 weeks, we need to forge a path forward. We need to get everyone out to vote. We need to knock those last doors and make those last phone calls. So I'm going to ask you all, are you ready to send a message to the rest of the country and the world about what it is that we do here in Virginia when given the opportunity to go cast our ballots? Are you ready to elect people who will be focused on strengthening our economy and creating opportunity for all of our kids and all of our neighbors? Are you ready to put Virginia on path towards having the best public schools in the entire country? Are you ready to make Virginia more affordable for all Virginians? Are you ready to have a governor who puts the people of Virginia first and works every day to serve the people of Virginia? One last one. Are you ready to win? Thank you. We will win.
You've been listening into a live event out of Virginia, a rally for a gubernatorial candidate there, supported by, you can see Pete Buttigieg, also Bill Nye the Science Guy in the back there. So lots going on in Virginia. That's in Charlottesville. We're going to take a quick break, though, and get to some more headlines after we come back. Welcome back to Live Impact News. As I mentioned, lots of national headlines going on. We've heard from President Trump today. We've heard from elections and campaigns all over the country. We're going to get now to, of course, one of the big headlines. The government is still shut down. No headway made on passing a spending bill, as they have every day. Leaders from both the House and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, have been speaking today. Here's House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Shut down. And House Republicans remain on vacation. Donald Trump is missing in action, continues to engage in unreasonable, un-American, and unpresidential behavior. And Senate Republicans still don't have a clue as it relates to what needs to be done to address the health care crisis that they've created. Tens of millions of Americans all across the country, as we speak, are beginning to receive notices that their premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket. They are about to experience thousands of dollars in additional expense per year, and in some cases, thousands of dollars in additional expense per month. It's unsustainable. and Republicans have refused to address it. They'd rather keep the government shut down than provide affordable health care and extend the tax credits for everyday Americans, for working class Americans, and for middle class Americans. Democrats will continue to make clear that we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone here at the Capitol or back at the White House in order to reopen the government, decisively address the Republican health care crisis, and enact a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people, as opposed to continuing these Republican policies that are raising the already too high cost of living and ripping health care away from the American people. Republicans on vacation for 4 weeks, and one of the consequences of that is that Republicans have refused now for 4 consecutive weeks to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva, depriving hundreds of thousands of people in the state of Arizona of the representation that they deserve, particularly during this challenging moment in the country. And once again, on the House floor during a pro forma session, Republicans refused to recognize the distinguished gentleman from the great state of Maryland on behalf of Representative-elect Grijalva, who should be sworn in today. It's already 4 weeks too late. It's now my honor to yield to the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, Representative Jamie Raskin.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. And I want to say I was alarmed and distressed to read that another January 6th pardoned convict has been picked up, this time apparently in connection with saying he was coming to New York looking for you, Mr. Jeffries, saying he was going to eliminate you. And apparently you had a public event in New York yesterday, and he's been picked up for that. And it's an alarming situation where now we have many of these January 6 defendants who have been picked up on other offenses. The Department of Justice is not zealously prosecuting them for other crimes that they've committed. They've even taken the position that if other crimes were discovered in the course of the January 6 investigation, they were pardoned for those crimes too, which is false, which contradicts the actual text of the pardon. But they are bending over backwards to let these people be out. And it's a very dangerous situation. And I said on the very day that Donald Trump pardoned 1,600 people en masse without obviously studying the details of each individual case, that President Trump and his administration would be responsible for whatever happens with these people. They've got a responsibility to rein them in. Some of them they've hired. Jared Wise, who is a January 6th attendee, he was there on the 6th, and he entered the building illegally. And he also chanted, "Kill him," when his fellow riders were attacking the police. He called the police Nazis and Gestapo. He's now the senior advisor to Ed Martin, who himself was there on January 6th and was a lawyer for people on January 6th. And he tweeted out on that day that it was like Mardi Gras. So we have a very serious problem with political violence in this country. Thank God that you are safe, Mr. Jeffries, but we are asking for the Department of Justice to get serious about reining these people in all over the country, especially since Ed Martin clearly knows them, and he is head of the so-called weaponization task force. It was my honor and it was my pleasure to be accompanied today by our new colleague, Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva from the great state of Arizona, She accompanied me to the floor. I tried to get recognition. There was no other business today. I was standing directly opposite the acting speaker for the day, Mr. Herodopoulos. The moment the Pledge of Allegiance was over, I asked for recognition because I wanted to move a unanimous consent motion that the Speaker of the House be directed to move on the next legislative day, tomorrow, to swear in Ms. Grijalva, and yet he turned away, he pretended he didn't notice me, and he scurried out of the room, which to me is disgraceful. We need to act on this. Ms. Grijalva's hundreds of thousands of constituents deserve to be represented in Congress. And even during these pro forma sessions, all of us who are members of Congress, including Congresswoman-elect Grijalva, can introduce legislation. But Ms. Grijalva, as I understand it, I'll let her tell you about it, she is not able to do constituent work for her constituents. We are trying to get in touch with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the VA every day on behalf of our constituents. Meantime, she's got constituent requests piling up on a desk, and I'd be very interested to hear you talk, Adelita, about what resources you have and what resources you don't have. But we consider you an elected member of Congress. There's no right or power that's been invoked by Speaker Johnson as to why he continues to refuse to swear her in. So I'm just here to endorse all the demands of our leadership. We should bring Congress back. The Republicans should get back to Washington, and we should restore all of the health care that's been savagely cut by the Republicans' dreadful, awful bill, and we should swear in our new colleague, and we should move forward with the business of the people. I am very pleased to introduce you to Adelita Grijalva, our most newly elected member of Congress who continues to wait to be sworn in.
Thank you. Thank you. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Thank you, Leader Jeffries and Ranking Member Raskin, for the opportunity to speak here, and for, I think this is the 5th time that a member of Congress has tried to get some recognition in order to have me sworn in. Today is day 28 since my election. And I think that it's really important that we appreciate that 812,000 Arizonans do not have representation in Congress. My dad passed away a little over 7 months ago in March. And since that time, the offices were able to provide constituent services. It was the People's Office of Arizona CD7. On September 23rd, those services ended. And so I do not have access to provide services in district. And I think that I also don't have a budget. So this back and forth, coming back and forth, is on my miles that I had stored up because I don't have a budget. I'm not able to open a lease in district. And I think that, the efforts that have been provided to me, and I'm appreciative of the administration's effort, the departments and the administration, they're trying to provide piecemeal solutions to some of the problems that we have. But respectfully, there's so much that cannot be done until I am sworn in. And so every moment that passes that I'm not able to provide constituent services or be a voice for Arizona, I can't bring the issues forward that they sent me here to do. And so while we're getting a lot of attention for not being sworn in, I'd rather get the attention for doing my job. And I can't do that right now without being sworn in. And it's just notable to continue to mention, there were 2 Republican members that were sworn in less than 24 hours from the date of their special election, April 1st. They were sworn in less than 24 hours, April 2nd, on a pro forma session. It's not unheard of for this speaker to do that. And so I continue to ask for us to have the same opportunity, and for the 812,000 people in Arizona that do not have a voice right now to have the opportunity to have me here representing them. Thank you.
Thank you, Adelita. Thank you, Jamie. It's a disgrace that Mike Johnson and Republicans continue to refuse to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva It's disrespectful of her. It's disrespectful to the 812,000 people who elected her. It's disrespectful to the great state of Arizona, and it's disrespectful to the House of Representatives, which is supposed to be the people's house, but under Republican leadership has turned into nothing but a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. Questions?
Leader Jeffries, when did you receive or learn about the threat against you from Christopher Moynihan, and is it plausible that the Speaker hadn't heard about this case before a reporter asked him this morning, since the authorities in New York announced the arrest on Sunday?
Well, that's not clear, and that, is for people to judge the credibility of that response. At the end of the day, here in America, we're living in a moment of extreme political violence. And that impacts every single person in public service and the people that we are all working hard to represent. But we will not be intimidated. We will continue to show up and stand up and speak up for the American people, to improve their quality of life, to address the extremism that is being unleashed on everyday Americans by this administration all across the country. We will not bend. We will not break. We will never bow down. And when it comes to these extremists out there, you better watch how you talk when you talk about me. Next question.
Mr. Leader, good afternoon. Thank you. Is the only way the government can reopen if Donald Trump gets engaged in negotiations?
Donald Trump is the President of the United States. Republicans have the House and have the Senate at the same period of time. They have complete control of government, and they made the decision to shut the government down rather than provide health care to everyday Americans through extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits, while at the same time addressing the other aspects of the Republican health care crisis, the biggest crisis in health care that we've ever seen in modern-day America, brought to us by extreme Republican policies, like the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, triggering the fact that all across the country, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing, including in rural America. It was uncovered yesterday that throughout the state of Alabama, there are about 50 or so hospitals and medical institutions that may close in the next year or two because of Republican policies. Because of Republican policies in states like Georgia, Virginia, and Maryland, health care premiums without an extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits may increase by $2,000 a year. That's $24,000. On families that make an average of $63,000 per year. That's impossible for anyone to sustain. And so, of course, Donald Trump should come to the negotiating table. And Democrats have been very clear that we will sit down with any of them, anytime, any place, here at the Capitol or back at the White House, to reopen the government, to support our hardworking federal employees, to enact a spending agreement that makes life better for the American people, while at the same time decisively addressing the Republican health care crisis that even Marjorie Taylor Greene acknowledges is devastating the American people.
Why do you think he's sitting on the sidelines?
Thanks.
What do you make of it? The person accused of threatening you is the recipient of one of those blanket pardons.
I think the reckless and irresponsible pardons of hundreds of violent felons on January 6th has consequences, as eloquently articulated by Representative Jamie Raskin. There are consequences to that, beyond me. Beyond me. The consequences are, we've seen crimes committed by people who Donald Trump pardoned on the first day he was sworn into office, by folks who have been released back into society all across the country, some of them violent crimes. And so there are consequences to these irresponsible actions, and not a single House Republican has walked away from them, not a single one. There are consequences when these extremists who are part of the Trump administration label the entirety of the Democratic Party as terrorists or criminals. There are consequences to that beyond us. We all know what we've signed up for, but there's pain being visited upon the American people because of actions taken by Donald Trump, supported by House Republicans and Senate Republicans on day one of his presidency. And I'm going to yield to my two colleagues, but by the way, what Donald Trump promised to do on day one of his presidency was lower costs for everyday Americans. That was the promise. He lied to the American people all of last year. Did he ever say I was going to pardon hundreds of violent felons who brutally beat police officers at this Capitol on January 6th? Did he ever say that? Was that the promise that Donald Trump and the Republicans made to the country? No. They failed to lower costs, have done nothing. Life is more expensive for everyday Americans. Electricity costs up. Grocery costs up. Housing costs up. Now they want to jack up health care premiums on working class Americans. But they have time to pardon hundreds of violent felons, release them back into society, threatening the public safety of everyday Americans, and then can't spend a moment trying to make life more affordable, make health care more affordable for the American people.
Can I add
Jamie?
one thing to this? Thank you for that question. Up until Donald Trump, the pardon process was governed by Department of Justice rules, by statute, and of course by the Constitution. And there was a very set pattern, which is each pardon application was considered on its own. It was analyzed what exactly that person had done, what they were convicted of, and up until Donald Trump, nobody had ever been pardoned who had not paid back in restitution their victims of a crime, or paid back fines to the government. In other words, you had to make yourself completely whole, then you had to demonstrate that you were rehabilitated, that you accepted the reality of your offense. Now, contrast that with what happened with Trump. He gets in on his first day in office without any reports from the pardon attorney about any of these people, any recommendations saying that they have paid off their restitution, they've paid their fines, they've made peace with their victims and so on, they've apologized to the police. No, none of that had happened. Instead, they issued a blanket pardon for everybody who had stormed the Capitol and participated in the shocking and atrocious events of January 6th. So what do you have in that mix? You have people who have been convicted before for domestic violence, for assault, for armed robbery, you name it, drug dealing, gun dealing, all of that's in there. And what do you know? After this mass pardon happens, people start getting picked up again. There's a guy down in Richmond who was burglarizing all of the houses in his neighborhood. And now this guy, Moynihan, says he's going to eliminate the minority leader of the United States House of Representatives. So they have enough people over at the Department of Justice who know a lot about January 6th, including Ed Martin, who was there tweeting on that day, describing it as a day of celebration like Mardi Gras, and his senior advisor, Jared Wise, who was here yelling, "Kill him," about the police, that they should know how to get these people into line, because it's a very dangerous situation. And I just want to add finally to what Mr. Jeffries said. Speaker Johnson described the exercise of First Amendment rights across the country by 6 or 7 million Americans as part of the No Kings rallies as a hate America rally. The Hate America rally happened on January 6th, 2021. We saw what a Hate America rally looks like. There were more than 140 police officers who were wounded, injured, hospitalized. Many of them have been forced out of police work because of what happened on that day. And what does Speaker Johnson say about that? Nothing. Now, he's part of the cover-up. He's part of trying to sweep the whole thing under the rug. Meantime, you had 7 million people participating peacefully, non-violently, in the American political process yesterday, and everybody should be praised for that. Those protests were a model for First Amendment exercise in the United States.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Nagin, thank you. Speaking of the protests over the weekend, as you say, millions of Americans came out, the vast majority peaceful, old, young, all of that. However, Speaker Johnson displayed some of the signs that we saw, which did seem to indicate violence. One of them showing in effigy a picture of President Trump being hanged. Also, we've seen video of people saying that, for example, 8647 to them meant that they did want the president killed. How do you respond to those on the left using that kind of rhetoric?
We've continued to make clear in this country that political violence directed at anyone at any time for any reason, wherever it emanates from, is unacceptable. Democrats have made that clear. We don't see that coming from Republicans on the other side. We don't see that type of unequivocal denunciation. In fact, they've described the January 6th hate rally as Mardi Gras, as a normal tourist visit, as a parade, as a celebration, and then they pardon hundreds of violent people and unleash them back in communities across the United States of America. This group of people, these extremists on the other side, they have zero credibility, zero, on the issue of political violence. And these Republicans, they are not the party of law and order. They're the party of lawlessness and disorder in all of the ways, including the ongoing crime scene at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country in real time. And we hear nothing but crickets from Mike Johnson and the other side of the aisle. Get lost with your denunciations. The No Kings protest was peaceful, it was powerful, and it was patriotic. Millions of people, more than 7 million people. And so I've got no time for these people on the other side of the aisle.
Are you worried about rhetoric on the left?
We have continued to denounce political violence wherever it emanates from. It will be nice to see that type of denunciation coming from Republicans. Adelita, you want to say anything?
I think that in Arizona, we know very well what political violence looks like. Former Representative Gabby Giffords was shot while she was doing a Congress on Your Corner event. I think that what needs to be done is complete condemnation of any violence. And when you think about when we've all served locally, right? We all want to encourage people to get involved in our political system. The best representatives are those that are homegrown and are motivated to do this kind of service, like a public servant and servant leadership. And when we are faced with violence and attacks, it doesn't matter how strong people look on the outside, it shakes you on the inside. There is absolutely no reason why Leader Jeffries' family should be concerned about his safety. Nobody should have to deal with that kind of hate and violence on a regular basis. And so we can nitpick all of the little details, but fundamentally, this is not okay, and this is not normal. It's not. And when you have a president who is giving away $40 billion of our tax money to a foreign entity and not taking care of what's going on at home, but also, by the way, enriching themselves, I think that that's a conversation we should be having. But when we talk about signs here and there, and I mean, I was in Tucson, it is beautiful. There are like 4,000 people there, all walks of life, all ages. The vast majority had never gone to a protest before. That's pretty cool. And I think what that shows, and it's an indication of the general unhappiness and displeasure of the American people in this administration.
Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. We're 2 weeks away from 3 important elections: California 50, New Jersey's gubernatorial election, Virginia's gubernatorial election. I'm curious to know if you think those 3 elections, will they be a signal to kind of where the Democratic Party is headed as we go into 2026? Just how are you thinking about those elections? I know you've had varying degrees of activity in each of those. Just want to get your general thoughts.
It will be a signal about where the country is headed in the midst of dealing with the national nightmare that is the Trump administration and the Republican sycophants in the House and the Senate who are embracing all of this extremism. That's what the New Jersey gubernatorial election is going to represent. That's what the Virginia gubernatorial election is going to represent, and that's what Prop 50 in California is going to represent. And we're going to win. In California, I was there all weekend. We're going to win in California, stop Trump from stealing the election by rigging congressional maps all across the country, and we're just getting started in California. Remember I said this, just getting started in California. And we're going to win in Virginia, and we're going to win in New Jersey, because the American people are fed up that Republicans would rather spend time on vacation on the golf course, give $40 billion to a foreign entity, and can't find resources to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits days away from November 1st and the open enrollment period. That's who these people are right now, and that's why Democrats are fighting hard across the country, every day, every week, every month, this year, next year, until we get to the midterm elections and can begin to end the national nightmare that Republicans are visiting on the American people.
Congresswoman-elect, can I ask if you've heard from the Arizona Attorney General about her lawsuit against Speaker Johnson?
I believe that a lawsuit is being filed today. I don't have any other details, but I believe it's happening very soon.
Thank you.
I want to ask about your conversation with Speaker Johnson over the weekend. Did you discuss any changes to the CR or any way to extend the ACA?
It's a private conversation that will remain private. Thanks.
Given the rise of political violence and especially this latest threat against you, should members have increased security? And if so, what is the legislative path forward? Could there be a vote on a standalone bill? Because I know there was some language in the CR.
Well, Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva said it in such a powerfully eloquent way. But we have a responsibility here in Congress to make sure that everyone can safely do their jobs, particularly in the People's House, because we pride ourselves in this institution as being the entity in the federal government that's closest to the American people, that's out and about with the American people, that reflects the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations, the fears, the concerns, the anxieties, in the words of the framers, the passions of the American people. That's what makes the House so special. And so for members to be able to continue to do their jobs in that regard, we certainly have to increase significantly the amount of safety that is provided. And we continue to work on that. Significant steps have been taken, and more needs to be done. But at the same period of time, what's even more important, in my view, is that we work on issues of importance to the American people.
All right, you've been listening in to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries speaking on the government shutdown, as they have really all been doing, all those leaders, for the past 20 days. So I'm sure we'll hear more again from them tomorrow. I'll be back here on our afternoon stream, where we're most likely going to have updates on that and, of course, the rest of our local headlines. That, for now, though, wraps up our evening stream here on WCNC Plus. We'll be back for the newscast at 11.